My wife cheated on me with her boss, stole $200, $0 from our joint account to buy her a new house, and now she's trying to claim half of everything in a bitter legal battle. I found out she's been lying for years while I was building our future. I never thought I'd be the guy sitting here, writing out my own nightmare, but here we are. The craziest part. The moment I found out about my wife, Lisa, cheating on me with her boss, Mark. Yeah, her boss. It hit me like a freight train. One minute I was just a regular guy coming home from work, and the next I was digging through her phone, discovering things I wish I'd never seen. I'd always been pretty trusting, maybe too trusting, but something felt off for months. Small things at first. She'd be late coming home, brushing off my questions with a sharp attitude, saying she was working late or dealing with some stuff at the office. But I didn't push. I figured maybe she was just stressed or busy. We had a pretty good marriage, or so I thought. Then one night I got curious. I'd noticed her hiding her phone. More locking it when she left the room, deleting messages. I knew she was hiding something, but I didn't want to jump to conclusions. Until I saw her phone lying face down on the kitchen table while she was in the shower. I peeked. And that's when I saw the messages, flirty, suggestive, explicit even. She was talking to Mark about their secret meetings, describing how good sex with him was, how he made her feel alive again. I felt my stomach drop. My mind raced. How could she do this? After all those years, after everything we built, I didn't confront her right away. I needed proof, clarity, so I started digging. Her emails, her bank accounts, everything. That's when I found the worst part. She'd stolen nearly $200, $0 from our joint account. Just drained it over the past few months. Turns out she used it to buy a new house for herself, claiming she wanted a fresh start, but I knew better. I knew she'd been lying about her work trip stories, her late nights at the office, her stress. She'd been planning this for a long time. It wasn't just the affair, it was the betrayal of our future, of trust, of everything I thought we had. I confronted her the next morning. She was bitchy, defensive, trying to gaslight me, saying I was paranoid, that I was imagining things. She told me Mark was just a friend, that I was overreacting, that I was jealous. But I knew better. I had the receipts, the bank statements, the messages. She kept lying, kept spinning her stories, but I saw through her. The woman I married was gone, replaced by someone cold, selfish, and manipulative. The worst part, she accused me of not being enough, of driving her into the arms of her boss because I wasn't paying enough attention or giving her enough sex. I felt sick. I felt betrayed on every level. That's when the anger started to boil over. I couldn't believe she'd do this to me, to us. I'd worked my ass off to give her a good life, and she was out there screwing her boss behind my back and stealing our money. I wanted to tear her apart, but I knew I had to stay calm. I had to think. Because now, everything was on the line, my marriage, my savings, my dignity. I didn't know what to do next, but I knew one thing: I wasn't going down without a fight. After that confrontation, everything changed. The house felt colder, quieter, like the walls themselves were judging me. I couldn't sleep. My mind kept circling around how she lied, how she betrayed everything we built. I kept asking myself how I missed all the signs, how I didn't see it coming. I was furious, but mostly I was hurt. Deep down, I felt like I'd been punched in the gut, left to bleed out while she moved on with her new life, probably planning how to split everything up in court. I started digging even deeper. I wanted to know how she managed to steal almost $200, $0 without me noticing. Turns out, she'd been funneling money into secret accounts, lying about her expenses, and even using some of the cash to buy that house for herself. I found out she'd been telling her friends she was working late for months, actually meeting Mark at hotels, having sex, doing God knows what. That's when I saw the full extent of her deception. She'd been lying to me for years about her work, her friends, her feelings, and worst of all, she was lying about her love for me. I decided I had to do something about it. I couldn't just let her walk away with everything, especially not after all I'd sacrificed. I started planning my move. First, I contacted a lawyer, got the ball rolling on a divorce, and also on the legal side of the money she'd stolen. I was determined to get every cent back and to make her pay for what she did. I also hired a private investigator to follow her, just to confirm where she was going, who she was with. I needed concrete proof, not just my suspicions. Meanwhile, I kept my distance from her. I didn't want to give her the satisfaction of knowing I was onto her. She kept acting bitchy, trying to throw me off, calling me paranoid, accusing me of cheating, saying I was trying to ruin her. She even had the nerve to say I was the one responsible for her affair because I was paying enough attention. That made me angrier. How could she blame me? I was the one working every day, trying to keep our lives stable while she was out there screwing her boss and stealing from us. One night she came home late again, smelling like perfume and alcohol. I stayed quiet, just watching her. She tried to brush past me, but I stopped her. I told her I knew everything about the affair, the money, the lies. Her face twisted into a sneer. She said I was crazy, that I was overreacting, that she loved me but needed more excitement. That's when I saw how manipulative she was. She was trying to gaslight me, make me doubt myself, but I wasn't falling for it. I had the proof, and I was ready to fight for what was mine. The thing that hit me the hardest was realizing how much she'd hurt me, how she'd lied for so long, pretending everything was perfect. We built a life together, and she'd just thrown it all away for some cheap thrill with her boss. I kept thinking about the money she stole, how she used it to buy that new house for herself, how she probably planned to leave me with nothing. I felt a mix of betrayal, anger, and a deep sadness. I loved her, but I knew I couldn't save this marriage. Not after what I'd uncovered. I had to get out and start over, but it wasn't going to be easy. Not with her fighting me every step of the way. Once I had all the evidence lined up, bank statements, her secret accounts, the messages with Mark, I knew I had to act fast. The legal side was complicated, but I wasn't about to let her walk away with half of everything just because she cried and lied her way through the courts. I sat down with my lawyer, went through everything in detail. We decided to file for divorce, of course, but also to pursue a full accounting of her financial dealings. If she thought she could just steal that money and run, she was dead wrong. Meanwhile, I set up a plan to confront her with all the proof. I wanted her to know I wasn't just some naive husband who missed the signs. I was the guy who was going to make sure she paid for her betrayal. She was bitchy and defensive, trying to throw blame back on me. She said I was possessive, jealous, and that I never understood her. Yeah. Right, she didn't understand that I was the one who worked hard to give her a good life, only to find out she'd been screwing her boss and stealing from us the whole time. One night, I decided to confront her again. I told her I knew everything about Mark, the affair, the money, the lies. Her face twisted into a sneer as she spun her usual excuses. "You're just paranoid," she snapped. "You're controlling." I needed excitement. Mark made me feel alive again. I looked her straight in the eyes and told her I wasn't buying her bullshit anymore. I was done being the fool. I showed her the bank statements, the emails, the photos of her with Mark. I told her I was going to take everything from her, our house, her new house, the money she stole, everything. I was going to make her regret what she did. That's when she snapped. She started yelling, calling me a jealous psycho, saying I was ruining her life. She said I was keeping her from her happiness, that she deserved better than me. Honestly, I didn't care what she said anymore. I felt nothing but cold rage. I knew she was trying to manipulate me, trying to make me feel guilty, but I was beyond feeling guilty. I was just angry that she could do this to me, to us, that she could lie and cheat and steal, then turn around and accuse me of being the bad guy. I called the lawyer again, told him to prepare everything. I wanted her out of my life, and I wanted her to pay for what she'd done. I decided I'd also look into some financial revenge. I was done being the victim. I started planning how to freeze her accounts, how to make sure she didn't get away with even a penny of what she stole. I knew she'd try to fight me in court, try to claim she was entitled to half of everything, but I wasn't going down without a fight. I'd worked too hard, sacrificed too much, to let her destroy me like this. The more I thought about it, the more I realized how deeply she'd betrayed me, not just emotionally, but financially. The money she took, the lies she told, the way she threw away our future, it all added up to a level of betrayal I never thought I'd face. I kept replaying the moments I trusted her, the nights I stayed up worrying, the times I ignored my gut because I wanted our marriage to work. And now I was furious. I wasn't just going to let her get away with it. I was going to fight and I was going to win. Because at the end of the day, I knew I deserved better than this. And she was going to regret ever crossing me. The days that followed were a blur of legal meetings, financial audits, and sleepless nights. I threw myself into the process, not just to get justice, but to make sure she paid for what she did. Every day, I felt the weight of her betrayal pressing down harder. It was like she had taken a sledgehammer to everything I'd worked so hard to build, our marriage, our savings, our future. And for what? A stupid affair, some fleeting feeling of excitement, and enough stolen money to buy herself a new house. I couldn't believe how manipulative she was being. Lisa kept insisting she was the victim, claiming I was controlling and possessive, that she needed space and freedom. She kept crying, trying to make me feel guilty, saying I'd driven her into Mark's arms because I was boring and not enough for her. It was all bullshit. I knew her game now. She was trying to turn the tables, make me look like the bad guy so she could keep her new life in her new house. But I wasn't falling for it anymore. One day I found out she'd already moved into that new house, her escape, she called it. I saw the photos on social media. The place looked expensive, modern, and staged just right. She posted a caption about finding herself, how she deserved happiness and new beginnings. I felt a mix of rage and heartbreak. All this time I thought we were building something real, something lasting. Turns out she was just planning her escape from the start. She'd been lying to me about everything, even about her feelings. She was cold, calculating, and selfish. That's when I decided to take the final step. I met with my lawyer and we filed for a full divorce. I wanted her out of my life, out of my house, and I wanted to get back what she stole. I also made sure to include a claim for the money she took, every penny. I wasn't just after revenge. I wanted to make her pay for her lies and her betrayal. I also started working on freezing her accounts, making sure she couldn't access any more of our money. I wanted to strip her of her power, her lies, her new house, everything she thought she could get away with. Meanwhile, Lisa was still playing her victim card. She accused me of trying to ruin her life, said I was jealous and controlling. I just shook my head. She was so good at spinning her stories, but I knew the truth. I knew what she'd done. I had the proof and I wasn't going to let her manipulate me anymore. I was done being the fool. Now it was about getting even, about making her face the consequences of her actions. The worst part, the emotional toll. I'd loved her once, believed in us, believed she loved me. But now I felt nothing but betrayal. Every memory, every moment we shared felt tainted by her lies. I wondered how I missed all the signs. Was I blind, or just too trusting? I kept asking myself if I should fight for her, try to fix this, or just cut my losses and move on. Honestly, I was leaning toward the latter. I couldn't see a way back after all this. Not when she'd stolen from me, lied to my face, and shattered everything I believed in. But I also knew I had to get my life back on track. I was angry, yes, but I was also determined. I wasn't going to let her ruin me. Not entirely. I'd rebuild piece by piece and learn from this disaster. Because at the end of the day, I realized something. Trust is fragile, and once broken, it's almost impossible to repair. But I also learned that I'm stronger than I thought, strong enough to walk away from a woman who could do this to me. I just hope anyone reading this learns to see the warning signs early, because once you're deep in betrayal, it's hard to come back. The court date finally arrived, and I felt like I was walking into a battlefield. Everything was laid out. The evidence of her affair, the stolen money, the lies she'd spun to try and save herself. I sat across from her in that courtroom, watching her bitchy smirk, knowing full well she thought she was going to get away with it all. But I wasn't about to let that happen. I had everything on my side, and I was ready to fight for what was rightfully mine. The lawyer presented the evidence, screenshots of her messages, bank statements showing the withdrawals, the proof of her new house. Lisa's face turned pale, then red with anger. She tried to deny everything at first, claiming she was just stressed, that Mark was just a friend, that she never meant to hurt me. But her words sounded hollow and desperate. I saw through her lies. I knew what she was trying to do, to manipulate the court, to make me look like the bad guy. But I had the truth, and I wasn't going to back down. As the hearing went on, I felt a strange mix of relief and anger. Relief because I finally had the proof to end this nightmare, and anger because she'd stolen so much from us, our savings, our trust, our future. She kept insisting she deserved half of everything, that she was entitled to it because she'd worked hard for the house and the money. That was laughable. I knew she hadn't earned any of it. She'd lied, cheated, and stole her way to that house. I made sure to argue my case, to show how much she'd betrayed me and how her actions should have consequences. When the judge finally made her ruling, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. The court awarded me full custody of the house. The money she stole was to be reimbursed, and she was ordered to pay me alimony to cover the damages she caused. It wasn't just about the money. It was about reclaiming my dignity, my peace of mind. I looked at her as she sat there seething, realizing she couldn't manipulate her way out of this anymore. She was defeated, and I felt a strange sense of closure. But the aftermath was brutal. Lisa continued to try and spin her stories, claiming she was the victim, that I was trying to control her, that she deserved happiness. I just ignored her. I knew her game now. I focused on rebuilding my life, fixing what she'd broken. I cut all contact, changed my number, and started the process of healing. I knew I'd be okay, better, stronger, wiser. And I also knew one thing: I'd never let anyone betray me like that again. In the end, I learned that trust is fragile and betrayal cuts deep. But I also learned that you can survive it. You can come out the other side, even if it feels impossible at first. I'd lost a lot: my wife, my savings, my sense of security. But I gained clarity. I saw who she really was, and I saw my own strength. If you're ever in a similar situation, my advice is simple. Get the proof, fight for yourself, and don't let anyone take more than they deserve. Because at the end of the day, the only person who truly has your back is you. Now, looking back, I realize how far I've come from that shattered man sitting in court to someone who finally feels like he's taking control again. The betrayal cut so deep that I thought I'd never trust anyone again, but I learned something invaluable through all this: resilience. It's funny how life throws you a punch when you least expect it, and you either fall or stand back up. I chose to stand, and I'm glad I did. Dealing with Lisa's lies, her affair, and the theft was a brutal lesson, but it also opened my eyes to the kind of person she really was: selfish, manipulative, and willing to do whatever it took to get what she wanted. I can't say I don't feel anger, because I do. But that anger has turned into a fierce determination to rebuild my life, to trust again slowly, and to never let someone betray me that way again. I've learned that sometimes you have to lose everything to realize what truly matters: yourself, your integrity, your boundaries. As I write this, I want anyone reading it to know that betrayal doesn't have to define you. It's a painful chapter, sure, but it's also an opportunity to grow stronger, smarter, more aware. Don't ignore the signs, don't dismiss your instincts, and never let anyone steal your dignity. If you're in a similar situation, remember, you're not alone, and you have the power to fight back. Sometimes the only way out is through the storm, but I promise the sun does come out again. I've started over with a clearer mind and a hardened heart. I still believe in love, but I know now it has to be built on honesty and respect, something Lisa never truly understood. I'm not bitter, just cautious. Because trust, once broken, is hard to repair but not impossible. I'm living proof of that. And if anyone's reading this feeling lost and betrayed, know this: you're stronger than you think. Keep fighting, keep your head up, and never forget that your worth isn't defined by someone else's lies. This whole experience has changed me, but it's also made me better, more aware, more resilient, more determined to find happiness on my own terms. And I hope someday I'll find someone who truly values me for who I am. Until then, I'll keep moving forward, one step at a time, with the lessons I've learned as my shield. Because in the end, the only person you can truly count on is yourself.